Hi, I'm Veronica, and welcome to my channel. This episode is a part of a mini series that is devoted to self-regulation of the nervous system. Now, much of what is bothering a current society today, whether it's gonna be anxiety, many autoimmune diseases, chronic pain, stems from the dysregulation, the chronic dysregulation of the nervous system. Now, what does that mean? Basically, we are often stuck in the survival stress, in the response of the nervous system that happens um, because of a threat. That response could be fight, flight, or freeze. And they all would show up very differently in your body and also in your behavior. But regardless of how it shows, how that response of the stress, the survival stress response will show up, the main point is that it's as opposed to the state where we should be staying most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. And that is the rest and restore state of the nervous system. Without that moment of resting, restoration, the body never has the capacity to heal fully. That is where the possibility of illness happens. That's where over time many health issues appear. When you hear that the stress is what makes you more likely to have problems with circulatory system or digestive system. It's all about that dysregulation, the fact that you keep getting stuck in the stress response and you're struggling to switch into that rest and restore mode. So the solution to that would be to create some ways to slowly start building capacity to regulate, to self-regulate your nervous system. And it's not something that you can do overnight. It's not one big thing. It's rather a series of little habits, little actions that you repeat continuously over months or years to really see the difference. And much of it has to do with the felt sense, with coming back to really feeling your body and being present and being able to interpret what the body tells you. Without that, you won't be able to regulate your nervous system. It's not something you can do conceptually through rationalization, through affirmation, or anything of like this. It really stays on the body level. And the first and the most basic thing you can do to start regulating your nervous system is to follow your body's urges and impulses. And unfortunately, all our culture is built in such a way that these natural urges are being suppressed, either because it's impolite or because there are other more important things to do. So just to give you a very simple example, if you're currently working on something, you want to finish your task, get your task done, and you might even notice for a moment that, oh, I feel like going to the toilet, or I'm really hungry, but you push it away, you suppress it, because what is more important for you and what you were taught is much more important is to get your job done, is to finish your task. So reversing these habits can be very tough, but that's where it starts. You feel like going to the toilet, you go to the toilet now, even if you have to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have to make a break, but I need to go to toilet now." And the same goes with food habits. We're so used to, okay, this is the lunch break, so that's where I'm supposed to eat. And you completely ignore when the body is telling you it wants to eat, when you are actually hungry. So this would be the first thing to keep in mind. Keep checking. Oh, when was the last time I actually drank something? Isn't it I'm actually thirsty? So you keep checking on those little signals from the body. Now there are also other signals that the body is giving you, that you are tired, for example, and you need rest. Again, you tend to suppress it because you cannot rest now because there is still this, and that I have to do. But if you keep um, ignoring it over and over, then eventually your body will get to the point of collapse. You will experience a burnout. Some chronic pain will turn up because the body will finally tell you no. If you will not listen when it's speaking to you quietly, it will start shouting at you so that you finally listen. And there are other things that are even more subtle that again we are not comfortable to do in public, but they're actually really natural ways to reset, for example, the level of a tonus and how much tension there is in the muscles. It gets self-regulated by the process of pandiculation, which basically means stretching and yawning. So you might have seen your cats and dogs doing it all the time, many times a day. That's because that's how they're, let's say they were in a one position for a long time, the cat was curled up and sleeping for a couple of hours. First, it does the stretching and yawning to reset, and then it carries on with its day. So if you're sitting at the office, don't feel impeded to do the stretching and yawning. Try it now, in fact. Yes, with the sound. So it's no right or wrong there. You're following the impulse of the body, and every time it might take you to different shapes, and it's just its way to get to various places within the fascia, to get you a little bit unstuck. So stretching and yawning is a great thing to introduce throughout the day, every time you feel the urge to do so. Also, the think of sitting still. Again, if you're not sitting still, you might be considered a restless person or like again impolite or something like this. But actually shifting the position is a natural thing and one that is, and I talked about it in this channel before, you have to constantly, at least once an hour, at least once half an hour, you should change your position because otherwise it's going to make your fascia less mobile, less hydrated, and it's going to create plenty of tension and the potential for tension turning into pain over a longer period of time. So don't be afraid to make those little shifts, and it might be something more subtle, more discreet. But rather than staying really stiff and super super still, try to introduce a little bit of shift, the changing of the position. If you have a possibility of changing the position, how you sit, and not just sit on the chair. For example, you work from home. Try as well working in different positions, sitting on the ground, standing, whatever you can. And of course, the same goes for sleeping. If you feel sleepy, have a nap, go to sleep when you feel like, rather than start watching a movie and then that moment of when you're getting sleepy is lost, and then you might be struggling to fall asleep. So it disrupts your sleeping patterns as well. Of course, most of the people don't have a possibility to wake up when they wake up. They were being woken up by the alarm, alarm clock, but maybe at least leave the weekend for the body deciding where it really wants to wake up. So that's it, very simple. It sounds, but actually to implement, I know it's really hard. Trying to be aware of all those little signals that the body is telling you, hunger, thirst, urge to pee, um, urge to stretch, to yawn, urge to sleep and to rest. All of them, see if you could start honoring it more and listening to it more. And that over time, again, is going to make a difference. And if you're watching this episode because you're currently struggling either with anxiety or with chronic pain, you can go to my website and download a free audio first aid for anxiety, first aid for chronic pain. You can find it here. I will also link it below. I look forward to see you next time.